contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Live with you on SportsGrid, folks. Let's make it happen. It is a Tuesday night. Game time decisions. Kevin Walsh with you live from the decisions desk. As we've got quite a lot on our plate this Tuesday, including the beginning of a new league year. NHL season is underway. The defending champs, the Florida Panthers, are in the middle-ish of the second period against the Chicago Blackhawks. A tie game at 2-2. No Bedard juice just yet. Verhaeghe with a goal. The first goal of the season actually went the Blackhawks' way. We're going to dive in. We still got two more to come. Rangers, Penguins, pretty good. Kings, Avs, pretty good. Not a bad start to this NHL season. Here's the deal, though. Self-aware. And I could dive in, find you a couple of angles, but I figured, you know what? Let's bring in those who've got this handled. So we're going to get you an edited version of Kevin 7 with the help of Tom Vecchio, 7 NHL futures. Yes, I know we've got a game underway, but only two teams playing, and I don't think that'll hurt you in the ability to back Tom in the futures market with everything that he's bringing to the table. We have got Chris Meany stopping by in 10 minutes' time. Does an excellent job covering this league and will help us not just get ready for tonight, but all that is to come tomorrow and throughout this NHL season. And then, of course, a great friend of the show, George Kurtz, will join us in about an hour, get some thoughts for the ice, and then talk a little baseball. George Kurtz, I am sure, edge of his seat all night long as the Yanks and the Blue Jays have game number 3 in the Bronx. New York, a considerable favorite here at home. When you play a best of 5 and you lose the first 2, it, of course, feels done. But for the Yankees going back to the Bronx with the pitching edge that they are supposed to have, they are going to be pretty considerable favorites in game number 3, and if there is a game number 4. And that's what you are seeing right now shown in the market. You are seeing the Yankees being given a much better chance to come back from their 2-0 deficit compared to the Phils. Philadelphia is plus 860 as they lost last night, tried to pull off a comeback against the Dodgers, could not do so. Plus 860 to win that series. Yanks are just plus 380. So it gives you an idea how New York is supposed to feel heading into this one. I think a lot of questions for people is, will this Toronto offense travel? Game number 1, 10 runs. Game number 2, 13. It is a Blue Jays team who secured the number 1 seed in the American League because of their dominance up north. 54-27 this year at home. Only the Phillies won more home games this season. But the fact that the Blue Jays only have 94 wins lets you know what? Outside of Toronto, it wasn't great. Sub 500, in fact, for the Toronto Blue Jays when they were outside of Canada. So it gives you, again, a bit of optimism if you're on the Yankees in the futures market. We were actually supposed to have a game probably in like the 7th, maybe even 8th inning right now. That's the Tigers and the Mariners. That game is supposed to, I believe, have first pitch at last update around 7 o'clock. The starters for that, it's Jack Flaherty and it's Logan Gilbert. We're going back to Detroit. Let's see, first pitch is expected at 7 p.m., okay? Tigers, Mariners. I did play a little midday, have some fun, over total hits in the game, 15.5, even money. See what happens. You know, I was supposed to already kind of know how I felt. Game hasn't started yet. If you want to get in the mix, feel free. It's Logan Gilbert, booked as a road favorite against the Detroit Tigers here. Really, really pivotal game, of course, as the Tigers look to now protect the home field advantage that which they stole. There's also been some big NFL news today, always on a Tuesday. We will put our eyes towards the Week 6 slate. What movement, what shake, what can we find, where are the early edges? Before we get to that, the Cincinnati Bengals traded for a quarterback. They go and bring in Joe Flacco. Did they make this move because Joe Flacco has already beat the Green Bay Packers this season and Joe Flacco is supposed to start for Cincinnati this weekend in Green Bay? I imagine that was not the driving force. For Cincinnati, this is a double-edged sword. And we'll get into this throughout our show tonight, but for those of you who do not know, maybe your first time tuning in, the Cincinnati Bengals were my pick to win this year's Super Bowl. I thought it was a great price. I thought the roster would be much improved. I look around at the AFC North, and had Burrow not been injured, I think I would be sitting on a really, really good ticket. Instead, Cincinnati right now is struggling because Jake Browning is just not a real starting NFL quarterback. There's a really big gap between the starters in this league and the backups in this league, and Jake Browning is a backup. And Jake Browning, in the game that he saved against Jacksonville, threw 3 interceptions. The signs were there that that was not going to be sustainable for him to start. Again, the Burrow injury, we knew he was going to miss 10 games minimum, 12 games minimum. Jake Browning has had multiple 3-interception games this season. He's thrown multiple interceptions in 3 of the 4 games he appeared in. They had to make a move. The push and pull of this is, I'm glad they made a move because I think Cincinnati can still win the North. I actually think that. And then if Burrow is healthy, all bets are off. We're in the mix. Again, we are absolutely in the mix if Burrow can come back. Flacco's the best option, though. Reports coming out that the Cincinnati Bengals didn't even call the New York Giants to figure out the price on Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson. That is a stunning bit of news. Though nowhere near as stunning as the piece of news that I was almost just given. The Cardinals are fining their head coach, Jonathan Gannon. In the back, they were thinking he may be fired. He got fined $100,000 for his altercation. This is coming from Adam Schefter with Amari DiMercato. Question, where's the $100,000 gone? Like, if they're going to give it to Amari DiMercato as an apology? It does give us a little bit of insight, though, into that moment. Like, I wondered what Gannon had said to DeMarcado there. It obviously did. I mean, it cost Arizona a football game in a division that they cannot afford. But that is an interesting one, and it feels a little writing on the wall for Gannon in Arizona, like a little foreshadowing. Again, like, listen, we have to be on top of the news here. The initial burst was the thought that Gannon was fired. He was fined. But if this Arizona team does anything other than make the playoffs, I mean, you imagine this could be Gannon's last season. It's just an interesting bit of news. Again, we're going to get into some of the Week 6 lines. So there's a lot of interesting ones. Kansas City, by the way, 2-3. Remember, like, Chiefs saved the season. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. 2-3 all of a sudden, losing on Monday night to Jacksonville. They play the biggest game on Sunday at home against the Detroit Lions, who find themselves power ranked by many people as the best team in football. All of a sudden, there's a lot of stuff to get into. But we get into this hockey season with the help of Chris Meany next, right here on SportsGrid.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the invite.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of... They're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. Yeah. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night with the start of the NHL season. No reason for me to fake the funk. Let's bring in someone who knows what's actually going on here. Chris Meany joins the show. You can find his work over at NHL Fantasy. Does an incredible job covering this league. Chris, we appreciate you making some time on opening night.
Hey, Kevin. Always a pleasure to chat with you. It's been a long time. I appreciate the invite, and happy Tuesday, man. The hockey is here. Let's go.
It sure is. I want to just start at the top level of it all, Chris, because the defending champs are in action, the Florida Panthers. It's a different market, I feel, the Stanley Cup market, where there's a lot of parity from the start. Sometimes it takes a while in different leagues to accept parity. Not usually the case, though, within the NHL. Has there been anyone, as you've gotten ready for this season, that has really stood out to you as a legitimate contender for the Cup?
Yeah, there's a couple teams certainly in the West. It's the Western Conference powerhouse conference. I mean, you have the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Dallas Stars sitting there at roughly 9-1 to win the Stanley Cup. And yeah, there you see the Western Conference there. I didn't even mention the Edmonton Oilers, who have been to the Stanley Cup Finals in back-to-back years. But certainly those three teams I mentioned, Mikko Rantanen, a big offseason or a big addition at the trade deadline last year. So he's there with the squad to start the season. The Colorado Avalanche are fully healthy. This time last year, they weren't. They have their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, ready to go. For him tonight to start the season with the Avs, his first time he's done that since 2021. And then you have the Vegas Golden Knights with the big offseason addition of Mitch Marner, who hit the century mark last year with the Maple Leafs. And, Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner are going to be a fantastic duo to watch. But I think the path is a little clearer in the Eastern Conference if you're looking for a future. Of course, the Florida Panthers, back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, but without their captain for the entire season and Alexander Barkov, and without Matthew Tkachuk until at least December. So to be without those guys, and certainly Barkov for the entire run, it's going to be tough for the Panthers to repeat. And mention the Marner loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think the path is a little bit clearer. I like a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, just a couple years removed from being, 2-time Stanley Cup winners and 3 times in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I think the path is a little clearer for the Lightning, the only team with 4 80-point players last year, and they're still strong in goal with Andre Vasilevsky, and of course their coach, John Cooper. But no real surprises for me, no real long shots. I think we could see maybe the Kings knock on the door if they don't have to face the Oilers for the 4th straight year in the first round. But the Capitals, maybe a little bit of value there, but certainly going to regress from the season they had last year.
Yeah, Kings in action tonight. I'll ask you about them in a minute, but I want to just go to Edmonton because McDavid was in the news with the extension that he signed. And I know a lot of, with McDavid, the questions are, will he win a cup? Will he have to leave Edmonton to win that cup? Does that extension, what does that extension mean, Chris?
It certainly means that the Oilers can try to build a competitive team around him. Again, they've been to the finals in back-to-back years and led by McDavid and Leon Draisaitl as arguably the 2 best players in the NHL. They signed Evan Bouchard to a healthy contract in the offseason, and Trent Frederick they signed to an extension. And then, they saved a lot of money not having to give Connor McDavid, 17+ million, which certainly he would have had an offer from 31 other teams if he hit the free agency in the summer. But immediately they were able to lock up Jake Wallman 7x7. So I think it means that he's saying, listen, I want to win. And I'm willing to stay here and try to give this thing another go over the next couple of years. So he's got this year and then the 2 years that he just signed. So Edmonton has 3 years to kind of figure this thing out and maybe make some noise via trades. It's an amazing free agent class next year as well. And, maybe other players across the league will want to take a pay cut to go play with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, given the star power that they bring to the table. So I think it's a good thing, of course, for the Oilers. Their fans are probably feeling pretty good that he's locked up here for a couple of years, but the organization, the front office, is going to have to show him that, hey, we're going to use the extra money that we have now and bring in some talent to give you a really good supporting cast to give this thing a go.
McDavid sits as the MVP favorite, unsurprisingly. Behind him, Nathan McKinnon. Again, the Avs in action tonight against the Kings. Chris, is there anything that you're really looking for in that game late night?
Yeah, the LA Kings they were the best team on home ice last year. 31-6-4, I believe, on home ice. And Darcy Kemper only had 3 regulation losses in 25 games in Los Angeles. But I did just talk about how much I love this Avs squad. I would kind of lean to the under. There's some player props that I'd like. Adrian Kempe and Kevin Fiala for 3 shots on the Kings side. Those guys are big time shooters. Andrei Kuzmenko playing on that top line, plus money for a point. Andrei Kopitar and Kempe there. That's a pretty good powerhouse. And I mentioned Gabriel Landeskog. I mean, he's healthy. He played in the playoffs last year, and he had a preseason goal just the other night. He looks like he's ready to go, and he's plus money for a point. So I would. Those are the 3 props I like, but I think we'll see like a tight checking game and maybe the under. I think there'll be more offense between the Rangers and the Penguins.
Well, then talk to me about this game here. Listen, people in New York every year get real excited for the Rangers. And then, the end result maybe leaves them wanting a little bit more. Going up against Sid the Kid, what are we looking for here?
Yeah, Sidney Crosby, he still has it, given his age, had a fantastic season last year. There's a rookie playing on his line, Ville Koivunen, who's plus money for a point. He had 7 points in 8 games last year playing with Crosby. So I like him right off the hop, just given an opportunity to play with Crosby and Rickard Rakell. And on the other side, JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad, when they made that trade for JT Miller, it was roughly 30 games or so. It really, just got Mika Zibanejad going. Those two combined for 68 points in 32 games together. They're on a line. You can combine them for a point each, and that would be plus money. And then the one guy on that line is Will Cooley, who had a breakout campaign last year. He's plus money for a point. Going to play with those two guys, and it should be an emotional night for new head coach Mike Sullivan, who has spent years and years in Pittsburgh, won 2 cups there, most wins in the organization. I like him to kind of get his squad going. It should be a fun one tonight. I think we'll see some offense.
All right, we're going to have a close eye on it. Really excited to watch that one play out. Chris, we really appreciate it. Again, make sure you go over to Twitter, at Chris Meany. Does great work for the NHL covering this league. Chris, we're going to have to do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. All the picks, all the props over at NHL.com/fantasy. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Have a good show the rest of the way. And anybody has any questions about hockey, they can always reach out at Chris Meany.
There you go. I mean, what else? What more do you need, folks? Chris Meany helping us out. We'll talk a little baseball next. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60-7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on
extra
this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This
Over
is your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen?
I
What, are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Game Time Decisions back with you on a Tuesday night. A lot of good stuff still to come here on this show. We've got Tom Vecchio in 5 minutes. Kevin 7. It's Tom Vecchio 7 NHL Futures. Excited to break that down with Tom. We'll talk baseball. We'll talk football. We've got George Kurtz coming up as well. Get some action from Kurtz. Talk a little Yanks baseball before a big one in the Bronx. A big one in the Bronx, man. This is a game that I've not jumped in on yet. I've, consistently been just playing the Judge 2+ hit run RBI. It's is Aaron Judge not having one of the most fascinating postseasons in recent memory? I mean, he's played 5 games. He has multiple hits in 4 of them. And yet, it doesn't feel like he has curved any of the postseason doubts. And I'm not telling you that the performance up until this point should wash away the postseason questions. I don't think it should heighten them. Though right now, I think for a lot of people, the 2 most memorable moments of this, only 5-game sample size, but of the Yankee postseason run is Cam Schlittler in Game 3 against Boston and Judge striking out with the bases loaded in Game number 1 against the Blue Jays. Now, it's a game that they lost by $1 billion, but it feels like it could have been a different game if Judge was able to step up in that moment. It was 2-0. It's Judge. You're like, I just get a hold of one. It's 4-2. And those are the expectations for a player of that level. That's exactly what those expectations are supposed to be. I find the Yankees, and you see it in the market, though. The books feel the Yankees are very live in this series. And then, therefore, I think here's what's very obvious to me just through the booking that we're seeing right now. The only team who would be favored over the Yankees in a series is the winner of Dodgers-Phillies. I don't know if anybody wants to push back on that. I'm willing to have that conversation. You can tell me what I'm missing, but I don't think I'm missing much. Yanks were comfortable favorites against Toronto. They would have home field against Detroit. That's a non-starter. I think they'd be favored against Seattle, quite frankly. Brew Crew, Cubbies, no. And that's why, again, the Phillies are 25-1 to win a World Series. The Yanks are 13. I mean, they're almost half the number of the Phils. Where each team is going obviously plays a role in where the books are, or how the books are going to react to these markets. But there's a lot more to how the Yankees are being treated in the market than I think just the idea that they've got 2 games to be played in New York. Because they still, their whole goal is to get back to Toronto, so they're going to have to win 3 consecutive games, and there's a huge discrepancy right now between the Yankees and the Phillies. I'm curious if we feel like there's any value out there in the futures market. Because I think one thing that's also standing out is Toronto and Milwaukee, these teams are being held at bay in the market because every Dodger win is just putting their numbers back where they once were, if you will, right? Like the Dodgers at plus 145, that is now the shortest number of this LA Dodgers season. There isn't a team Again, Yankees-Dodgers is very interesting if that was the World Series rematch, because I believe the Yankees would actually have home field advantage in the series. But you can just see the strength in these Dodgers numbers. And if you're willing to go against the Dodgers, then you can get some fantastic prices. You can. But where is that juice, right? Where is that value? There's nothing that is, there's a piece of the Phillies that tempts me a little, admittedly. There is. Because I just think they're a talented ball club. But I'm also reminded how much, when they lost Zach Wheeler, I was always surprised they didn't drop further and further and further in the market. And I don't think having or not having Zach Wheeler has been the difference in the first 2 games against the Dodgers. But my point is just an overall belief in a team. And I think I would have to have a little bit more belief in the Phillies just in general to get to them at these numbers. Look, I think all of this is really fascinating. These are all things we're going to pick up with Tom Vecchio, who headlines Kevin 7 on a Tuesday next.
football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen? What, are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Game Time Decisions is live on a Tuesday night. Happy to have you with us here. Start of the NHL season. And we didn't want to just ignore it, right? So we got some help. Chris Meany, that's step number 1. Now we bring in reinforcement number 2. The one and only Tom Vecchio. Tom, an excellent Tuesday to have you with us here. We're going to do Kevin 7 in the next segment. It might take 2 segments. It's Kevin 7. Powered by Tom Vecchio, talking NHL futures. Tom, great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night.
It is great to be here. A lot going on. The Yanks start in an hour. The Rangers start in an hour. Obviously got to be locked into the Yanks. So much going on. We got NFL news today. We should just hop right in.
Yeah, we should. And what we're going to do is start with the Major League Baseball, Tom. I don't know if you're betting this. I know you're watching it. Tigers, we didn't think. Again, this game is supposed to maybe be over, but Tigers-Mariners is just getting underway. Did you have a bet in this game? Any action here?
I did not. And
okay.
I saw the weather reports early this morning. I was concerned about it. I said, do I maybe just take the unders on the pitchers? So I was thinking, if he comes in-game, that might be a bit of a different story, rain coming mid-game. But I just completely stayed away. The only action I have today would be the Blue Jays money line. I've been betting the Blue Jays money line in the first 2 games with the FanDuel boost. It is just a pure emotional hedge. And
that's not good advice, then.
Yeah, I'm not saying this. I'm just telling you, being honest. The other night I got the Blue Jays up at plus 165 or whatever it was.
I got
and I'm cashing the tickets. I don't like it. I'll be honest. I would rather lose the bet tonight than win the Blue Jays money line bet tonight.
All right, fair enough. Is there anything in this baseball futures market that is standing out to you? Does there look like there's any value to you there? Because there's a lot of updated numbers, Tom.
I'm still looking to back the Mariners in some capacity.
Really?
I think they're better than the Blue Jays. I think their pitching staff is significantly better than the Blue Jays. So they may not have home field, but if the Blue Jays get past the Yanks, you were just talking about in the last segment, who would be booked as a favorite, this, that, the other thing. I like the Mariners staff. And especially if they get through this series quickly and they can have summer rest or whatever, so they get Brian Wu on the AL CS roster, that is a boost to their pitching staff overall.
Can I tell you what interests me so much about Toronto? So you and I talked about this a week ago at the time, I believe, that I played the AL East to win the World Series.
Yep.
What interests me about Toronto, where everyone says, oh, pitching wins in the postseason. Well, what I'm seeing right now, Tom, is everyone can pitch. So give me the team that seems like most likely to score 10 runs, and that's Toronto. But I said this, and I know this may sound almost like patronizing, because it's like, oh, we're the 1 seed in the AL. We didn't have to prove this. But listen, I think that this kind of comes with preseason expectations. I believe that through those 2 games, Toronto really proved that they can win the World Series.
Yeah, I wouldn't push back on that. And the fact that they're doing so without Bo Bichette is, we got to tip the hat to them. Like, they're not doing it with him. I will say, their bullpen isn't great. The Yanks lost game 2, but once you got past the starter, they still gave up 7+ runs. So it is good, to your point, to be like, hey, who can score 10 runs? Blue Jays, Dodgers, those are the 2 teams, really. But giving up those runs is also an issue.
Yeah, no, 100% the case. Let's talk some NFL here, Tom. Joe Flacco gets moved today to the Cincinnati Bengals. You see this move, and you start to think, what? Where's the value all of a sudden now for you in this deal?
Like, my first thought, and I said this to, my friends in my fantasy league, is like, at least Chase and T. Higgins have life at this point, because the level of inconsistency that we got from Jake Browning has been terrible this year. And if you look back to 2023, he was actually one of the most accurate quarterbacks alongside Brock Purdy in 2023 for the fewest percentage of passes that were deemed off target or uncatchable, whatever the terminology is. He was actually extremely accurate in that 8-game sample size in 2023. That has not been the case this year. So if you bring in Joe Flacco, what type of stability do you have to the offense? Because A, their offensive line is still bad. Chase Brown has been absolutely terrible. Yards per carry is horrible. But moving the chains and picking up first downs with a veteran quarterback and 2 great wide receivers is important, and I think that's what he brings better than Browning.
Do you think then, props-wise, Tom, and maybe we'll do this a little tomorrow with target player props. I don't want to spoil it too much, but do you think that, and I know it's against Green Bay, so that may skew it a little bit, but between betting Flacco, Chase, and Higgins, who would you be most interested in betting next week?
It might be Higgins, based on the fact that Chase will probably be 6.5 or 7.5, at least receptions.
Okay.
And his yards will obviously be higher. Higgins may be 4.5. And what we could see, like, my mind immediately went to the opposite of what Buffalo has. Like, Buffalo has a very flat target share. It's like they have like 5 guys over 12% and no one above 20. We could see like 33% for Chase, 25% for Higgins, and then it's just like Yoshivash and someone else, and Chase Brown in the backfield. But a really condensed target share actually makes things awesome for props. And Flacco's just like, run these plays. These are the guys. I'll throw it to them, and we'll just see what happens. Because forget about the tight ends. Yoshivash, you can catch 3 balls a game, 2 balls a game. But give it to Chase, give it to Higgins. Let's move the chains. Let's pick up some wins.
And here's the thing for Flacco. So I wanted it to be Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. I know this will be a hot take. I actually specifically wanted Russ over Jameis as a Cincinnati futures holder. But here's one thing that stood out for me with Flacco in Cleveland. Attempts. 45, 45, 36, 34. So we know he's going to throw the football. And I was frustrated to see them get such an immobile quarterback, Tom. But some of the numbers, and this actually matches up with my preseason expectations, the Cleveland offensive line is actually worse than the Cincinnati offensive line. So I think this could be a real boost here overall. Now, Flacco's going to throw picks. That's the thing. But Jake Browning clearly, and I know Albert Breer tweeted this out, because I think it was the interception that Alex Anzalone caught ended Jake Browning's career. Sounds strong, but Joe Flacco is on the Cincinnati Bengals because of that interception.
I'm not wouldn't push back on that. It's not unfair to say. When it comes to the attempts, it may be pretty simple when it comes to Flacco, because the Bengals defense is terrible and their offensive line is terrible, at least from a run perspective. So again, short, quick completions for Flacco, it has to be the name of the game. Like, they have to mold the offense around the offensive line being terrible, him being immobile, and two great wide receivers. Get the ball out and move the chains and at least have a shot to score, because there's not much else you can do at this point.
Yeah, this is the last question I'll ask you, Tom, then we're going to get into the hockey. Before the trade, it was 14.5 in Green Bay. Since the trade, it is still, in plenty of areas, 14.5. Yeah. Correct decision by the books to not move the number?
Probably. I'd be more inclined to lay it with Green Bay if Browning was still starting, and I'll probably take the points with the Bengals now.
Oh, that's a pretty big swing. So then maybe they should have moved it. Interesting.
I'm saying the interception potential, I think, is slightly higher with Browning, and a pick six to cover the spread late, I think, will be more of an issue for Browning.
Stop. I'm getting nightmares. Oh, boy. All right, let's talk hockey futures next on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Each and every Tuesday, we've delivered you a Kevin 7. There was that stretch where I wasn't here, and we had Tom's top 10. Or 12. It was fantasy. It was 12. It was 12. We're kind of combining it because there was a part of me that was going to do Kevin 7 today, 7 NFL teams I have a question for. But I got some questions out there for some teams. I was like, you know what, man? Start of the NHL season, we got to show it respect. But I didn't think it would be showing it respect if I just kind of tossed together a loose futures thing. The season sneaks up. I think most of you could agree. I know it didn't sneak up on Tom Vecchio. And that's why we have for you Kevin 7, Tom Vecchio 7 NHL futures. Tom, we begin with a couple of team, what would essentially be win totals if you're new to the, hockey betting space, but point totals for the year. 3 of them begin your 7. Let's go through them.
Yeah, these are 3 teams that I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in. That would be the Anaheim Ducks, the Boston Bruins, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And taking all of their point totals to the under this season. And essentially, it's the same argument for all of them. And I will say, shop for the best lines available. There are some discrepancies that, you're seeing 84 in one place for the Ducks. I'm seeing an 82 and 83. You can obviously theoretically find the middle. I wouldn't recommend that, but it's out there. They don't have good rosters, and they play in really tough divisions. And when we're dealing with teams that have 3, 4, 5 good forwards, 2 good defensemen, one injury really sets them back, and their depth is going to be tested immediately. When we're looking at the Ducks and the division that they play in, seeing the Oilers, the Kings, and Vegas up at the top is a tough set of groups, teams to play on a night in, night out basis, essentially. And especially if Vancouver's going to be better than they were last year. The same thing we said about the Bruins. The Bruins legitimately may have some of the worst bottom 6 in the entire NHL. They have a good top 6. Their bottom 6 is absolutely terrible. And then when it comes to the Penguins, they don't have a goalie. They have a handful of good players. They have like one good line at this point, and they are dealing with some injuries. Brian Rust is out right now. McGrody is out right now. But they don't. The bottom 6 for them shouldn't even be NHL players. The Penguins may be the worst team in the NHL this year, and worse than the Blackhawks, worse than the Sharks, and it actually sets up for them to be one of the worst teams. And the constant rumors about Sid Crosby being moved at the deadline to give him one more shot at the cup will only be louder this year.
So that, Tom, and this is again we don't fake anything here, right? Just not in our nature. That Penguins thing, I think you saw my reaction, stunned me because again, I'm less than casual, right? So to me, I'm expecting Sidney Crosby, if he's on a team they're supposed to be, decent enough. But Sid has a little bit of that Derek Jeter, Dirk Nowitzki, he's been a Pittsburgh Penguin his whole life. Does that feel real to you that he actually gets dealt off the Penguins?
The fact that the rumors have been happening for so long, and then you hear the rumors, and then there's reports like, oh, they're not true. We're not moving him. Report from his agent says that's not true. But then the rumors keep happening like, oh, it's not true. Then it's like, well, this is the final year for his contract. Like, if a team needs a center and he is willing to move, it solely comes down to him. Does he want to be moved? Because if he says yes, they will find a trade partner because they will get a haul back for him. And especially if they're going to have a super high draft pick to begin with, top 5, they're going to get that plus assets back. It solely comes down to his decision. The rumors will be there, but it's his choice.
That is man. You just, that's the NBA in me, right, Tom? That's the stuff that draws you in. Crosby's getting dealt, right? That moves the needle there a little bit. We'll stay in the East. It's not the Metro where the Penguins play, but the Atlantic, you're seeing some juice on an outright winner.
Yeah, I like Tampa. I think when you just look at the totality of the division, Boston's not there. The Panthers are dealing with injuries. They're in action right now. They're dealing with injuries. Kachuk is out for a couple more months. Sasha Barkov is apparently off crutches already, despite the fact that he had MCL and ACL surgery last week or 10 days ago, whenever it was. So he's going to be out. Even if Barkov was fully healthy, the same view I had for the Panthers coming into last season, the same one I have this year, as long as they make the playoffs, they'll be ready to go. I don't think they'll be pushing themselves to win the President's Trophy, to have 120 points. Get to the playoffs, they'll be good to go. So I think they may ease off things just to be, veteran team ready to go. Tampa really is the most complete team. The Maple Leafs are going to be weaker without Mitch Marner. Their offense just isn't going to be there. They will absolutely make the playoffs, but I just don't think Tampa is really reaching that end of the road for the group that they have, and I think there's a good number to back them at.
Let's do, Tom, because we have some, you have an award future, a player prop here. So let's go top level, the remaining team future in your 7.
Yeah, that would be the Oilers to win the President's Trophy at plus 750. And when you're looking across the different markets to win the division for the Oilers, to win the Pacific. They're sitting at plus 155, which, it's a fine number. It's where it should be. But the Oilers are tied with two other teams, the Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars, for the highest point total in the NHL at 106.5. So if they reach that 106.5 number and they go over that, they're going to be in play to win the President's Trophy, which means they're absolutely going to be winning the division. So again, I would rather back a longer number than simply betting into a division, which is very difficult with Vegas, who got better in the offseason, getting Marner. The Kings are going to be very tough this year. But if I'm taking a play, I don't want to play over 106.5, which they can absolutely get to. But I'd rather just take the plus 750 and shoot for the highest outcome.
Question for you, though, Tom, then. So it's a much shorter number, but it lets me know then, is there anybody worth betting in, right? If that comes in, McDavid takes his spot back, MVP's his?
More than likely. It would be, honestly, Draisaitl is his biggest competition at that point. It wouldn't be McKinnon. It wouldn't be Matthews. It'd be Draisaitl, because if they do win it, they're both having 120, 130 some odd points.
So Tom, and I know we're about to hit break, but we're going to stick around anyway with Tom. But Tom, when McDavid would win him, was Draisaitl finishing top 3 in MVP?
In voting, it probably was McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov, if I had it just off the top of my head. But Draisaitl would be 4th, 5th.
It's interesting and just trying to find that value. We're going to look for a little bit more value here in the futures market with the help of Tom Vecchio. We're live on Game Time Decisions on opening night of the NHL season.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen?
I
What are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We are live on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. Tom Vecchio has been gracious enough to give us a little bit of his time here on a Tuesday to help you get ready for the start of this NHL season. We've gone through 5 of his 7 favorite NHL futures. To recap the 5 that you may have missed: Ducks under the 84.5 points, Bruins under 80.5 points, Penguins under 76.5 points. Then a little bit of love for Tampa, the Lightning to win the Atlantic at 2-1, and the Oilers to win the President's Trophy at plus 750. Correct me, I don't think I'm wrong. That would be the most points in the regular season which is what you're looking there for Edmonton. 2 more props remain for Tom Vecchio, an award and then a straight-up player prop season long, which we love. Let's start with the award here, Tom. What do we like?
Let's go to the Calder Trophy, which is Rookie of the Year. And let's go to Z Bouillon, the defender on the Minnesota Wild, to win it. And when you look at the Calder Trophy odds overall, Ivan Demidov on the Montreal Canadiens is plus 180. And then the next player is Jimmy Snuggerud on the Blues at 10-1. So it's the whole entire market's like, oh, it's Demidov's going to win it, and then it's just like everyone else. But in reality, that's not the case when it comes to these awards. And it's different to say things at different times. Like, when Bedard was going to win it, we knew he was going to win. It didn't matter how good the Blackhawks were. They're a horrible team. He still was going to win it. The Habs have a chance to be a playoff team again, and Demidov is in a great spot. He's surrounded by good talent. Jimmy Snuggerud is going to be on a team that's going to be fighting for a wild card. He has a big role in the first line of first power play. Misa is going to be with San Jose with Will Smith and that group of young players they have. But Bouillon, I like the role that he has. I also love the fact that he's a defenseman compared to some of these forwards, and he's also surrounded by a ton of talent. With obviously Kaprizov getting the long extension, with Matt Boldy, with Brock Faber, like they have a really good group. And the fact that if he can do things as a defenseman on the first power play, that should elevate him. Again, if you look at like on-off ice metrics for a defenseman, those are really, really important and impactful compared to a player just scoring 30 goals.
Can you, though, just give me an idea? Because, Tom, it does jump out when you see someone that short to win an award, right, as a rookie, what the expectations are, how people may look to be betting Demidov throughout the season?
He's going to score, and I think the Habs will score a lot. The top line, he's not going to play on the top line, but with Slafkovsky, with Cole Caulfield, with Nick Suzuki, with them rotating those three, plus Lane Hudson, who won the Calder last year, and Demidov on the power play, there's a ton of potential. So shot props, a point prop, anytime you get some of those guys close to even money for a point prop, you could take it. You could even look to do a little sprinkle on a power play point, little, minus 110, minus 120 on a normal point, plus 130 or 40 on a power play point.
All right, Tom, let's make it happen here. Season-long player props. We do these a lot within the NFL. Hampton IR. Chuba's not, injuries impact these, right? That's sometimes how it goes. Hopefully, though, we get a full year out of the guy we're backing right here to close this out.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk over 64.5 points. And, my prevailing takeaway is, we could relate it to other sports, is, you need your best players to be your best players. That's what it really comes down to. And last year for Brady Tkachuk, he only played 72 games. He had 55 total points. The years prior to that, 74, 83, 67 points. So he's been over this mark in 3 of the last 4 years. I would love to see him take fewer penalties. Let's stay on the ice a little bit more. Just a few extra minutes every game will be super important. But when the Senators are minus 175 to make the playoffs, you can't have your best player, arguably him or Tim Stützle. You can't have someone like Brady Tkachuk ending with 60 points. That is not a path forward. Now, there's a world where the young players step up and everyone scores 5-6 more points, so therefore he doesn't have to do the heavy lifting. But I would say this in the NBA, Kev, it's if you need your best player, he needs to be out there. He needs to be scoring. He is the engine of your team. He is the reason you are pushing forward. Not to say no one else can play a part, but to see him fall to 60 points in 82 games would shock me.
Yeah, just to try and get the perspective on it. Last year, you had 69 players with 65 or more points. Best player on a playoff team, you're probably going to need 65 plus. So I think it makes
sometimes it's that simple.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Easy to follow, jumps off the card right away. Tom, appreciate it. Could have done it without you, pal.
I know.
What do you got here? Don't say I know. Don't say I know. That's nuts. What do
you were very adamant saying we need the help.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to say I know. You're not. I was going to ask you what you're betting in the Penguins Ranger game or coming up.
Rangers in regulation. I get better odds on that. Blue Jays money line.
All right, I might go double fade on Vecchio out of the gate there.
football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on
extra
this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This
Over
is your best bet? Okay.
Didn't you read the screen?
I
What, are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Game Time Decisions live with you on a Tuesday night. We have another slow start to a baseball playoff game in Detroit. It is what it is. That could be playoff baseball. To talk a little more playoff baseball and then a little more start of the NHL season, because we are showing respect to the start of the NHL season here today on Game Time Decisions. George Kurtz, catch them all across the SportsGrid Network. George, great to check in with you. Big game tonight. Lot to discuss. How we feeling?
How we feeling? Oh, Kevin, you and I mean, the Yankees against Bieber, he has over a 6 ERA against the Yankees in the playoffs, so we have to feel a little good about that. They have hit him well in the past, and in the past, he was really an ace, right? He's probably not quite that anymore, so we feel good about that, but man, Kevin, it's Rodon. I know he had a great year. He did win the game against Boston. They gave 3 runs here. I just don't know. I see the Jays hitting them. The Yankees got to score runs tonight. This is not going to be a 2-1 win for the Yankees. It's not going to be a Seattle-Detroit game here. The Yankees are, I think, going to need to score 5-6 runs to overcome why the Blue Jays offense has more hits than whiffs. Think about that. They have more hits than whiffs, more home runs than strikeouts. That's how hot that offense has been in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, this is such a fascinating spot, George, for the New York Yankees, because they enter as the road team. They yet enter as the favorite, right? And you cannot say that this is a successful season if it ends in the ALDS. I don't know if I love calling it a failure if it ends either here, though, but that is a story maybe for another time. So give me an idea on what you think the run out looks like for this series. Does this feel over? Maybe not tonight, but inevitably Toronto? Or do the Yankees feel alive to you here still to pull off what would now be an upset of the Blue Jays?
I think the Yankees are still live for this reason. I do think tonight's pretty close to a 50-50 coin toss, slight edge to the Yankees. But tomorrow, Game 4 will be a bullpen game for Toronto, right? Scherzer's not on the roster, Bassitt's not on the roster, Barrios is hurt. It's going to be a bullpen game here. Against Schlittler, I'll take my chances right there, right? Major advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I know Gossman did really well. I know the Yankees against the splitter, which they've talked about over and over again. The Yankees can't hit the splitter, but the Yankees have hit Gossman in the past. Maybe not so much the last couple of starts he's had against the Yankees this year, but they have hit him. So I would take my chances. So I do think the Yankees are live. That being said, that just means they're not dead. The odds of them doing this, we all know the numbers here. Was it 90% of the time, the team that goes up 2-0 wins the series here? But the Yankees have done it twice. Now, they have been two of those teams that came back. They beat Cleveland. I think it was 17 when they were down 2. And then, of course, the famous Derek Jeter, tossed the home plate to get Giambi. That was a 2-0 deficit as well to win that series. Obviously, different Yankee teams. I know that. All right. Do I think they're going to win, Kevin? No, I don't think they'll do it. But anybody who knows me knows I'm the negative Yankee guy here. I don't think they're quite dead yet. I think tonight will be the toughest. Can they win tonight? Can they get by Bieber with Rodon tonight? If they can, yeah, then I definitely think they're live. I think they'd win tomorrow with Schlittler versus the bullpen.
Yeah, I am. I don't think. I think you can tell through the numbers, George, right? That they are still live here within this series. They are getting far more life in their booking than, say, the Philadelphia Phillies, right? The other element, though, that I am so fascinated about with this Yankees team is Aaron Judge. And some people, I think, will confuse this for Yankee fans, but Aaron Judge is one of the, conservatively, 5 most famous players in baseball. Possibly 2. But again, top 5. He is he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame one day and may win a 3rd MVP in a couple of months because that's when they give out the awards. Yet, George, you've seen this through your time as a baseball fan. There are some guys, when the postseason begins, it's their moment, and when it begins, there are struggles. Judge had a lot on his plate entering into October. He's had 4 multi-hit games in 5 games. It doesn't feel, though, like it's been enough. Where are you at on this Aaron Judge postseason as it stands?
He's batting .444. All right, that's his batting average. On base is over 500. His OPS is over 1. By any account, he's had a very good postseason. There are 2 negatives. 1, only 1 double, right? No home runs, 1 extra base hit. That's all he has here. Only 2 RBIs. And one of those RBIs, it was an error on Duran. All right, you got to catch the ball. But there are no errors in today's baseball, so that is what it is. No home runs, though, is a problem. And, of course, he probably had the big at-bat of the series. And on the 3-2 pitch, that was a block outside. He swung, and he struck out. Other than that, he's been fine. I mean, what else do you want the guy to do? Someone else has to hit besides him. If you take out, it's funny. That base is loaded where he struck out. If he popped up, we wouldn't be talking about this. He popped. What are you going to do? He popped. He's batting .440. He popped up. But the fact that he struck out on a 3-2 pitch on a ball that was a block outside and low, so we get on him for it. He's not Reggie Jackson. He's not. He's not that kind of pressure guy. The numbers show you that in the playoffs here. But I don't think. Bottom line is this: the Yankees have given up 24 runs. I don't care what Judge is doing. You're not going to beat that. Your pitching's got to be better here. Would I like to see Judge come up tonight in a clutch situation, hit a 3-run homer? Yeah, of course I would, for obvious reasons all over the place. But do I expect it? No, I probably don't. But once again, if you would have told me, Kevin, before the playoffs started, .444 on base over 500, OPS over 1. Okay, here we go. It's not Judge's problem then.
I never thought it would be possible that the Judge postseason results leave me going, like I can't sit here and say he's been bad. That's ridiculous. Anyone who says Judge has been bad, that's ridiculous. But I don't think it's like he's, changed the narrative, despite the fact that he's hitting .444. It's such an odd one, George. Can you give me an idea, though, American League overall? Of course, Tigers right now going up against the Mariners here. This game is live. I don't know if you've got any action in this one going, but just how you see not just this game, but this series overall?
Listen, once again, I picked Seattle to go. I think that pitching staff, even with Wu hurt, and by the way, we made these predictions. We didn't know that Wu would be out for the series, but I would have picked them anyway. No one can match, Gilbert, Castillo, Wu, Kirby, Bryce Miller's your fifth starter for crying out loud. Bullpen that's very good, and we thought that Naylor and Suarez would finally add the offense they've needed. Haven't really seen that. I don't think it's Detroit. Maybe it is Toronto. If Toronto keeps hitting the way they were hitting games 1 and 2, I don't think anybody's beating this team. I think they have just enough pitching to get by here, but it would be tougher because they don't have the starting staff. They don't really have the bullpen either here. They have to hit their way through here, and maybe they get Bichette back for the ALCS. Maybe they don't. So when they get there again, I'm still on Seattle, but I just have not liked the offense I've seen here against Detroit. You're going to struggle against Skubal? Fine. Everybody struggles against Skubal. You didn't hit Montero either, and I know you got a leadoff double here, but you didn't. You're not hitting Flaherty so far either. I'm not going to back off here. I'm still on Seattle, but Toronto, who didn't look good down the stretch, right? They almost blew the American League East to the Yankees. All of a sudden, they look great again. But maybe they're just great against the Yankees. The Yankees now are 1-8 in Toronto.
Yeah, look, that's possible. Does not bode well considering the Yankees have to win a game in Toronto. I will say to your point about, Skubal, and it's not that he's been bad, but those games, they've lost one, they won the other. At no point, George, was it like, the game's over. This Tigers team, they salvaged the season, the collapse by not being eliminated in the wild card. But if the Skubal games don't feel, obviously they've got this wrapped up because then the offense isn't stepping up in those games, it just does not feel like Detroit is live to make a run beyond this round. That's how it feels. Now, again, making a championship series, I think they'll be elated about that. But, you're just trying to figure out where these teams land in the futures market. Let's talk some NHL futures. Let's talk some NHL games tonight with the help of George Kurtz on Game Time Decisions after the break.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. But I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60-7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you on this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best bet? Okay.
Didn't you read the screen? What are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
All right, Mariners strike first in Detroit, a Victor Robles double, followed by a J.P. Crawford base hit, gave a little bit of opportunity for some good base running by Victor Robles. There was an error. scores on a very close play at home. You're not going to run her on second here, so it looks like another run's actually about to come in. Mariners all of a sudden trying to open this thing up against Detroit. We will talk a little bit. We will follow this baseball, but I want to talk some hockey. We've got George Kurtz with us here. You can catch him across the SportsGrid network. And George, always plugged into the NHL season. George, I want to start by showing you actually something that we already did. And I'm curious if any of these 7 options stand out to you. We had Tom Vecchio give us his 7 favorite NHL futures. I'll run through them again for the people. Ducks under, Bruins under, Penguins under, their season-long point totals. Tampa to win the Atlantic, Oilers to win the President's Trophy. Nope, pass it on that. But a Calder Trophy pick, and then Brady Tkachuk over the 64.5 points. Of the 7, George, do any of those futures really stand out to you?
There's a couple I like there. I'll start with number 7 here. I love Brady Tkachuk to get over 64.5 points. 65, he should get 80 to 90. He is that kind of player here. Just stay healthy. That's the only thing with Brady is staying healthy. His brother, by the way, for Florida is out until December, right? One of the best players in the NHL. Brady may not be Matthew, but he's a damn good player. And by the way, that's as close a team as we're going to have to, sort of the Colorado Rockies. We're going to play a lot of 5-4 games. They're that kind of team, right? So, yeah, I like Brady Tkachuk. I do like where Tom's going with that. Tampa to win the Atlantic, it won't be Florida, right? No Barkov. He's out for the season. Maybe returns for the playoffs. I mentioned no Matthew Tkachuk there. Tampa, I think, they'll be battling with Toronto. Hey, we love Cam, and he's a big Maple Leafs fan. Toronto's great during the regular season. They just suck in the playoffs. So maybe they can hold off Tampa here. But it leaves me Tampa or Toronto. So once again, don't mind that for the plus money. And then if we're going to go the negative, Penguins under 76.5. They got a game in about 20 minutes here. Yeah, we all know Sydney. We all know Jenny Malkin. You all know Chris Letang. Name another player on Pittsburgh. All right, that's my way of telling you they're really top heavy and not a good team here. And they do play the Rangers later on tonight. They play the Islanders on Thursday. I think the Rangers take care of business tonight. The only question is, I'm not laying the 235. Do you take it on the goal line? Do we want to play around with it and buy it down a little bit here? Do we put it in a parlay? Not a great parlay night, though, for the NHL, and I don't trust the Yankees enough to put them there. So we took the Rangers on the goal line tonight here to beat the Penguins. But like I said, Penguins don't get fooled by Sidney Crosby. Still a great player, but there's not much else there.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus around Pittsburgh. I'm curious, George, just high-level Stanley Cup market. Did any team, even if maybe you didn't play it, but did any team catch your eye in the Stanley Cup market?
I mean, it's tough not to like what Vegas did. I mean, you added Mitch Marner. A top scoring wing. I don't know how long it might take him to become Mitch Marner again, right? You go into a new team, a new conference, Vegas and all that. Maybe it takes him a couple of months, but we don't care. As long as he's Mitch Marner come April, May, June, July, that's all we care about in the playoffs. Good goaltending. They did lose Peter Angelo, and it was told today that he's on IR and he's out for the season and the playoffs, so they're not playing games there. He's gone. So that's a big loss there, but they'll make up for that at some point before the trade deadline here. Let's not forget, Jack Eichel's in a contract year. Think Jack Eichel wants to have a big season and make big money next year? He saw what Kaprizov got from Minnesota, get $18, $19 million a year. So I think Eichel's a lot to play for as well. I like the Vegas Golden Knights, but I'm the first person to tell you, Kevin. Vegas, Dallas, Colorado, Edmonton. The West is brutal. Brutal. Yeah. I mean, and these teams are going to play each other. We saw it last year, man. 2 of these teams are going to play each other in the first round. One's gone before you even know what's happening with Stanley Cup playoffs. One team will be eliminated here. Hate how the Stanley Cup, how the NHL does their playoffs here, but it is what it is. It's what we have to worry about. But I like what Vegas did.
All right, so Vegas standing out. George, you mentioned, but in case anybody missed it, how are you going to play that Rangers game, which starts at about 15 minutes time?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to get fooled by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Listen, I love Sidney Crosby. He's probably still pretty close to the great player he's always been, but they don't have much else. Yeah, you've got Jenny Malkin, but he's maybe 2/3 of the players. Chris Letang, these are Hall of Famers, but he's once again 2/3 of the player he used to be. And after that, there's just not much else there. All right, it's a weird situation because you have Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Hall of Fame players, but you need to rebuild. You need to strip it down and move on. All right, it's just not working out here. I think the Penguins might be the worst team in the Eastern Conference, by the way. That's telling you something there. I like the Rangers tonight. Just how do you want to play it? If you love the Yankees tonight, maybe you want to play the Rangers and the Yankees in a New York parlay here. Or maybe you like the Kings later on tonight or the Avalanche. Do a parlay there. I'm not going to lay with 235. I am going to take the Rangers on the goal line here and maybe have to sweat out an empty net goal like I am with Florida and Chicago.
What are you thinking, George, with that Avs-Kings game?
I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. All right. So I did take the smaller play on the under. I don't love it, but we're getting plus money with the under, or at least we were earlier in the day. I think it was plus 104 that I got. So I took the under here, and I'm not an under player, Kevin. I like playing the overs. We all do. This way I know I cashed it. And yes, I'll be complaining because I never get the empty net when I need it, and I always get it when I don't need it, of course. I'll be bitching about that because that's what I do. Colorado and the Kings. I like the Avalanche, but they're going to have the backup goalie in the net tonight. Blackwood's out. Kings don't play high-scoring games generally. They need to play lower scoring. You need to keep Colorado in check here. But this one, I played the pregame under, and I took the Kings. But this is a game you start watching. You see early on, things are opening up here. That'll be a great in-game betting opportunity to take the over.
Last thing, George, and then we'll let you get out of here. Appreciate it as always. Anything early that you've looked at for tomorrow? I know Edmonton is on the card, which I'm sure people will be really excited about their first chance to bet McDavid this year.
Of course, right? McDavid took the smaller contract, right? 2 years, $25 million, which is a little bit of a surprise here. But he's pretty much telling Edmonton, you got 2 years. 2 years to fix the problem here. If I can't win a cup here, I'm winning it someplace. I think because I think it's all that matters to McDavid. He must be considered one of the best players in the game. So I think McDavid's scoring tomorrow. I'll definitely be on him. Whether it's a goal, maybe I take him to get 2+ points here. I'm a big believer in taking Leon Draisaitl anytime goal almost all the time. Every game I'll just do it because he scores every game, it seems like. So, yeah, when Edmonton plays, those are overs. You're taking over point totals here. It's the two guys I mentioned, McDavid, Draisaitl. You want to go to Bouchard anytime goal from the defense? I don't mind that either, but I will be playing Edmonton tomorrow night.
All right, so perhaps some juice with McDavid and Draisaitl back out there. George, appreciate it. Good luck with the game tonight.
You too, Kevin. I think we're going to sweat this one out, Kevin. I think we're going to need it. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I am sure it won't be. We'll get you some best bets on the way out of here. Game time decisions on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. But I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60-7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you on this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
safety.
But are you
on this? This is your best bet?
Okay. Didn't you read the screen? What, are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Back right here on SportsGrid. Shall we update the live board? Panthers, Blackhawks, 3-2. That's your final, Florida. No empty netter. Under. Panthers outright. Puck line Blackhawks. That's how your NHL season begins. Rags, Penguins, upcoming. I've been waiting all day for a buddy to text me that he's on the Rangers in some capacity. He is not. That is a sad scene. It tells me he will regret it. Rangers team total, Rangers first period team total, there has to be some level of juice out there. Just has to be. That's what I'm thinking. A lot of people expecting juice, though. Maybe it comes in. That's my thoughts. Avs Kings. Short Avs number. Kings good at home. Total 5.5. Interesting spot. Maybe an alt Kings team total under. Anyone? Maybe an alt Kings under, alt Rags over. Go to the Chris Casino playbook. Something to consider. Major League Baseball. Right now, it is a 2-0 Mariners-Tigers lead. It is 5-0 if you work in the control room here at SportsGrid and reacted to a Josh Naylor pop-out that consensusly was reacted to like a 600-foot home run. Instead, it's only 2-0. It's a minus. It's over minus 300 right now for the Mariners to win this game. 7.5 total juiced on there, which means there's probably some 6.5s out there. Does this game have any live pop to it? Am I missing anything? Let's see. Flaherty's at 5Ks. Just got hit up a little bit. Logan Gilbert's low on the pitch count. What's the Logan Gilbert live strikeout prop? We did this yesterday for some live juice in the Dodgers-Phillies game. And I think I said that, but I wasn't able to get it in. I had someone text me like, 3.5 came in. It was like, I know, I didn't get there. Let's see. Where's the Logan Gilbert? So it's locked because the inning's live. I have eyes on Logan Gilbert live Ks. All right? I want to see. We'll see where it buttons up here at the end, but that pitch count's real low. And they may just let him run out here. So that's something to watch, okay? Top of the lineup is coming up, though, so just keep your eyes on it. Yanks game comes up tonight. Gotta have its spot. And in a gotta have its spot, Aaron Judge, it's a gotta step up spot. I kind of lean under in the game. I mean, we're seeing a full 8. Postseason baseball is just still full of low-scoring efforts. Hold on. You know that text message I said I was looking for? Nah. He mentioned a Shesterkin shutout, but then he's like, I don't really know. I haven't looked. Feels undialed. But now he cares about the result. There's a way. There is a way. What is the way? Maybe Sturkin gets the shutout, and then he's upset he didn't get in the mix. There's got to be some juice in that game. Panarin? Kachuk? Not Kachuk, Troychek. Crosby, hold on a second. Wait. Ticket came in from another source. Let's see. Kings to not score in the first period. Rangers to score in the first period, 2-1. Whoa. All right, so basically the look is all of a sudden a Shesterkin shutout. Penguins team total over. Full zag. I have to. How are you not dialed in game number 1 of the Rangers season? I'm upset about that from him. I want this Logan. I just got his third strikeout. I want this Logan Gilbert K prop, but they're always keeping us messed up. Yank spot tonight. Lean under that 8. Tomorrow's going to be a good one. WNBA Finals back in the mix. We've got Coach James Young joining us there on that Wednesday. We're going to have target player props for you as well. The rest of the slate, it's up to the in-game live crew. That's Gabriel Morency, and that is Scott Wetzel. You know they will be dialed in for this NHL season. Tigers, Mariners, Yankees, Blue Jays. That'll do it for Game Time Decisions. Catch you tomorrow.